Hi, and welcome to a special bonus episode of the Summer I Turn Swiftie. I'm one of your hosts, Catherine McKenzie, and we have a special guest with us here today, Megan Collins, who's the author of 5 thrillers, including Cross My Heart and The Family Plot. She teaches creative writing and is the editor-in-chief of 3 Elements Review, and she lives in Connecticut. And she's been a Swiftie, she tells me, since 2010. Does that mean that Fearless was the album that made you a Swiftie?
No, it was actually Speak Now. Because I think, didn't Fearless come out 2008?
Yeah,
Because
okay.
I've started in late to 2010, like November, basically. So almost 2011.
Oh, you can the month that you became a
Yeah. I have a whole origin story.
Oh, well, maybe we'll get into that. And just as a little more introduction for those of you who are listening, obviously this is a rewatch podcast. We are rewatching The Summer I Turned Pretty, one episode at a time and discussing it. We have finished season 1. We did a little recap episode last week, and this is I'm not ready to rewatch season 2 content. I'm just kidding. Happy to have Megan here. I know Megan for a long time, a fellow writer, and I've been following her Taylor Swift content for a long time. I love the series that you did with the piano.
Mm.
That was the first time that I think that's when I realized you were a Swiftie, because I saw your Taylor Swift piano
My
content.
obsession started coming out.
Yeah. I actually got my
Yeah,
Taylor Swift
I
merch today.
noticed.
So I'm wearing I like the subtle merch. I don't need her
Mhm.
face all over my body, but I do like
Yeah.
some of her merch, and I did get this sweater today. Just before we jump into the interview, I just wanted to give a small movie update. Gavin Castellano did give an interview to Us Weekly over the weekend where he said that he didn't know exactly when the movie was filming, but it is next year. He also said that he had called Jenny Han and asked for details or a copy of the script, and she told him no.
It's probably not written yet.
I mean, is he even in the movie? We don't know. And then he went on this rant, not rant, but he was like, "Oh, it was so funny filming those extra scenes in Paris and confusing the fans. I was running down the street screaming, 'Belly, Belly.'" It's like,
So is that they brought him there as a fake out? Is
yeah,
that
they
the
did.
idea? Oh, wow.
Yeah, they brought him to Paris as a fake out. They also filmed that final scene in the car. They filmed a version with him.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't wanna
well,
see that.
but it was good that they did it because both of those leaked, and so if you wanted to keep up the pretense that Belly wasn't ending up with
Mhm.
Conrad, I
Yeah.
mean, give me a break. But if you wanted to keep up
Yeah.
the pretense, it was there. And just one more thing before we get into the interview, I have an extra acoustic Life of a Showgirl
Oh.
CD with Eldest Daughter and The Fate of Ophelia on it. And I'm going to be giving it away to one lucky listener or watcher. So all you need to do is comment where you watch. So on Spotify, on Apple, on YouTube, with your favorite Taylor Swift song and why. And I will pick a winner. Canada and the US only, guys. I'm sorry, but shipping
Mhm.
anywhere else is a little outrageous. And frankly, from Canada, shipping even to the US or in
Yeah.
Canada is also outrageous, but I'm happy to do it. Okay, so let's dive right in with Megan. When did you start watching the show?
I started watching it, I think, pretty much, like, the first if not the first week it aired, then maybe because in season 1, it was all at once. So
Right.
I think I started watching it, pretty much right after it came out, and if not, right after, then, a week later.
Okay. And was that Taylor related or just a coincidence?
No, I had no idea that that was gonna be such a thing in the show. What it really is that I work out in the mornings and I always just, have something on the TV while I do it, and I usually pick a show that I'm this happened to me with The Vampire Diaries, where I was like, "Ugh, I'm just gonna pick, a garbage show just to,
Yeah.
have something," and then I became so obsessed with it, and so the same thing happened where I was like, "This is probably gonna be stupid, but I'm gonna put it on," and then the way I know that I become obsessed with it and that I'm really into it is that I will start watching it when I'm not working out. So, it'll go from a workout show to I'm on the couch and I'm gonna watch 3 episodes in a row type show.
Yeah, I mean, I actually only started watching it this summer, and I had been hearing about it, and all the Swiftie content creators that I follow on TikTok were talking about it, and I was on vacation with my husband, and I was like, "Oh, let's try this." He
Mhm.
tapped out the minute Lover started playing over slow-mo Conrad entering in episode 1, which I get, it's a little over the top as a moment,
Mhm.
and that night I couldn't sleep, so I was like, "Okay, let me give this another shot." Lots of people I know and, think have good taste are obsessed with the
Mhm.
show. And it seems like the sort of thing I'd be into. So I watched episode 1, and then I actually skipped the last episode of season 1 because I was like,
Oh.
"Oh, I don't wanna be jerked around, like, do they end up together? Just tell me." And then I
Mhm.
watched all of season 2 that night because I could not sleep.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, and then at that point, there were just 2 episodes out of season
Yeah.
3, so then I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna the next day or 2, I watched all of season 1 properly, and then I probably just skipped to my scenes that I liked in season 2, so I have a tendency
Mhm.
to do that, and then I watched season 3. And yeah, it took me like 2 days to get obsessed with the show,
Yeah,
and 3 weeks later, I found myself at, like, a watch party with
that's
a
how it
friend.
gets ya.
So, yeah, it was
Yeah.
like, it's like that line that Taylor has is, "I swirled, narcotics into all of my poems."
Mhm.
Like, what narcotic did they swirl into the
Yeah.
show? I'm so yeah. So you are also obsessed with The Summer I Turned Pretty, obviously.
Yeah, and then once I started watching the show, I read the books too, because I was like, I need to know, like, if they fully get together or whatever, and then, yeah, it was just
Yeah.
I was
I
just
also
like,
read the
"Yep,
books this summer. Yeah.
yeah, they're fun." It's
Yeah.
fun
Yeah,
because you
it's
can just
interesting
read
the
them really
differences, though.
quickly. It's like they're different, but they're also the parts that are faithful are, like, so faithful, and that's always really interesting to me when it's like, I feel like I'm almost just reading like the script in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Well, I found it really the major differences are with book 1 and
Mhm.
season 1. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's where all the changes are introduced, like the Deb ball and things like that, and I've been doing an analysis on Thread of actually we have the pilot script and how
Mhm.
like, scenes that are missing from it, which I have to get back to that to finish it, but yeah, and I think Conrad is like I didn't like Conrad in the first book.
Yeah.
Like, and even knowing what his secret is, and it's weird because Susanna's illness is less of a secret in the book. It's just kind
Yeah.
of like not front and center, but yeah, he's really dark in the book, like, in a way that he isn't in the show, I find.
Yeah, that makes you think, like, why is she even into him? But I think it's so interesting that, like, we kind of never got to see the Conrad that she initially fell in love with because by the time the show starts and when the book starts, like, he is in that darker place, and even though
Yeah.
he's not, like, as much as in the books, like, it's still in the show, you're like, "This guy seems kind of, like, mean to you," or just, I don't know,
I feel
very
like he
withholding.
starts
Yeah.
reappearing in episode 4, in the
Mhm.
July 4th episode.
Yeah.
You see the glimpse, and you see them when they're making the margaritas, and they're hanging out, and,
Yeah.
like, he's happy his dad's not coming, and then the next day, he's happy that he's, like, almost kissed Belly and stuff. I feel like
Mhm.
we start seeing him, and then by the last episode of the show, to me, he's fully back
Yeah.
of season 1. Like, when he goes to the boys and he's like, "Oh, I know we haven't been hanging out, like, let's go
Mhm.
fishing," and he's, like, there with his mom, like, there's never any discussion of why he goes to the dead ball,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
he's there, and he's in a tux and, like,
Mhm.
supporting his mom, and he's being super responsible, and, like, he stopped drinking, he stopped
Yeah.
smoking up, all that stuff, so I feel like we do see him, but
Yeah, but there's a lot, like, in front loaded, I feel like, into the season where you're just like and you kinda go with along with it because you're like, "Okay, I get it, like, you had a crush on this guy, and, like,
right.
that happens even if he is a jerk." So but yeah, but then he definitely starts to kind of reveal himself as it goes on.
Yeah. So were you team Conrad or team Jeremiah, or
I was team Conrad for the most part, even though but I actually, like I remember being like, "There's no way she's going to end up with Conrad," because, like, the story usually is, like, someone has had this long-standing crush on someone, and then they realize, well, the other person was always better for them. So when it started to go that way with Jeremiah, I was like, "Okay, that makes sense." And I was like, but" and I think, like, honestly, the reason I was Team Conrad, even though he was kind of a jerk, was just like, this is gross to say because I'm so much older than him, but, like, I just found him more attractive as a person than Jeremiah, and also Jeremiah was very cringe to me a lot of times, and so but yeah, but then when it was, like, in season 2 and it was, like, just all the things with that, I was like, "No, I am definitely Team Conrad," and then when it was Jeremiah, I was like, "Well, I'm just waiting my time because I know that this is gonna fizzle out."
we're waiting this out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember going to look up Chris Briney's age,
Yeah, me too.
and I was like well, because I watched it this year, I'm like, "Oh, he's 27, like, it's fine."
Yeah. I know the first time I watched it, it was like a few years ago and it was a little less fine, but I was like, well, it's he's in his 20s.
He's in his
It's okay.
20s. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, I was always team Conrad, and I just think, again, if you watch it in a compressed way,
Mhm.
it's kind of obvious
Yeah.
to me, like the boy that she meets in slow-mo to
Mhm.
Taylor Swift in the first episode is gonna be the boy, you
Yeah.
know? And, like, I I maybe had, like, one moment of anxiety during season 3, just, like, I think led by people online being like, "Oh, what if she switched the ending?" And Jenny was
Yeah.
being vague, and I'm like, "No, like, don't be an idiot." This whole and if you watch season 3 now, to me, the whole thing is just about them coming back together.
Mhm.
It's really
Yeah.
always about them. Jeremiah, to me, actually don't think it's a love triangle. I think it's a story about timing and
Mhm.
just they have bad timing. And
Yeah.
Jeremiah is like the excuse. It's a narrative device is an obstacle to keep them apart.
Mhm.
Not that she didn't have feelings for Jeremiah. I think she did, but I just don't think like if Conrad is there, like if Conrad had not gone to California, they would have gotten back together like
Yeah.
months
I
later.
think so too.
He removes himself from the equation. Literally anytime they spend more than 5 seconds together, they're just
Mhm.
like drawn together like magnets and their whole life is upended, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think she also like had it in her head the thing of like that he was never actually going to want her the way that she wanted him and then like the fact that Jeremiah does like that can feel so safe
Yeah.
and she chose that for a while which makes sense and I think she needed to do that to be able to get to the place where she could see like well that's not all you need too is just that feeling of safety.
Yeah, well, I think that conversation she has with Laurel in season 1 where she's like, "How did you feel for dad?" And, "Did you
Mhm.
ever feel fireworks for someone?" And Laurel says, "Well, when it's the right person, too hot, too safe, like, you'll just know." And, to me, that is what Conrad is because
Yeah.
they do have this passionate connection, but then they're also, like, can sit around, eating soup and doing crossword puzzles.
Mhm.
So they have both sides of the equation, which is sweet and so well plotted, I think,
Yeah.
like, planting all that sort of stuff and then
Yeah.
seeing that. Yeah. Why do you think this has become such an obsessive show for so many people?
Well, so I know it's a show about Gen Z characters for the most part, even though we have like Laurel and Susanna, but it just feels so written for millennial. And I don't really know how to articulate why that is. It's something about for me, actually, I think it taps into the way I felt when I would watch like Dawson's Creek and shows like that as a kid. And part of that is the way that Jenny Han and the creators have injected music into the show and using music in a way that is going to drive home those really emotional moments. And that just reminds me of those shows that I would watch back then that like
Mhm.
then every time I heard that song after, like I think of these two characters breaking up or getting together or something. And I think Jenny Han is a millennial. I guess I'm not
I think
totally
she's Gen
sure.
X, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's a little bit
Yeah,
older.
yeah, she's my
Um
age, so I think we
okay,
both
so then
yeah.
written for millennials, Gen X, like younger Gen X, because those are the people for the most part that I see like really being obsessed with this show. And maybe that's just because that's my age group and that's all I'm seeing. But like there's just something about it. And I do think like I know you said it's not really like about this love triangle, but there is something about a love triangle that is so addictive. And again, ties into like those shows that I would watch as a teen or like in my early 20s that I was obsessed with that because there's it's so juicy and then you add the fact that they're brothers and plus I think the other element is like who does not want to live in a big house on the beach and there's just also this like coziness of the friendship between Laurel and Susanna and then the idea of these two families kind of growing up together and like so I think it's just all of those things interacting that just make it so irresistible.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to me, the one that I come back to a lot is Felicity,
Mm.
because that was I mean, I also watched Dawson's Creek but that to me did what you were talking about, where it's like you showed us Dawson and Pacey, and you're like, "Oh, that's the couple," and then,
Mhm.
they sort of changed. And I'm not even sure that's what they planned to do from the beginning.
Yeah.
It's a bit different because there were no books for those shows,
Yeah.
so they were not making it up as they go along, but, like, making choices as they went along based on how the relationships developed and then, Felicity obviously had, like, Team Ben,
Mhm.
Team Noah. Noah? No, is that his name?
It's been too long
That's
for
wrong.
me. I don't remember.
Anyway, that's terrible. I love that show and I don't care about that relationship, so that's probably why. I was always a person who, like, show me the couple that's meant to be in the
Mhm.
episode, and then those 2 better end up by the end credits,
Yeah.
or I'm gonna start throwing stuff. Like, even in Lost, I was like, "If Jack and Kate don't end up together, I'm gonna
Mhm.
lose my" like
Yeah.
yeah.
My real big one, like, my first, like, big obsessive show was Roswell,
Oh, okay.
which was out around the time of Dawson's Creek, and that's how I got into Dawson's Creek, but that was one where it felt kinda similar, like, Liz and Max, the 2, like, the main love interests. It feels very I mean, it's completely different, but it feels similar to what Belly and Conrad feel like in that we're set up from the first episode
Right.
to be like, "Okay, this is what we want to be endgame," and then other things come in along the way and everything. But, yeah, there's like, that is just so irresistible to me, and then you put in a good soundtrack and these big musical moments and a great setting, like,
Yeah.
I'm seated.
I think the yearning too, like, I think it even goes back to formative books for me, like,
Mhm.
randomly, I started getting pushed all this Anna Green Gables content on TikTok last week, and, like, I read the books as a kid, and then, like, I'm Canadian, I have red hair and green eyes, like, I look like Anne,
Yeah.
so I've read those books a million times and, like, the whole series, and then the original series with Megan Follows, like,
Mhm.
and then more recently, I've watched Anne with an E sort of off and on, and, like, I went and rewatched, like, the key moments in both of those shows, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, here it is, the yearning, like, Gilbert,
Mhm.
is in love with her, and she is in love with him, but is in denial."
Yep.
It's just kinda, like, hard coded, I
Yep.
think, and we don't get that many shows like that anymore,
Right,
which
yeah.
I think is part of it too, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's interesting, like, how they used Taylor in the show, like, how they used her songs. One of the things we were talking about last week is that, at least in season 1, they all have to do with Belly's feelings about Conrad.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of true throughout the show with some exceptions, though somebody was making that comment on one of the platforms saying, like, when it comes time, I'm not even sure that's correct. Like, yes, there are some Taylor Swift songs used for Jeremiah and Belly, but I still think it's
Mhm.
kind of about Conrad in those
Yeah.
moments. But we shall see when we get there. How did you feel about the way they used her music? Like, as someone who, just as a bit of background for the listeners, you're a poet and, like, you analyze her music as poetry
Mhm.
and, go much more deeply into the lyrics in that way than a lot of casual listeners do, I think. Like, you're the person who I first heard talking about how she uses slant rhymes in her poetry, and somebody else was talking about that in a video. I'm like, "No, that's Megan!" It's
I
like,
am obsessed with
they were
that.
not giving you credit, but fine. So, like, for me, sometimes I have trouble separating, like, what I know the song is about,
Mhm.
uh, or who it's about, and then the moment that they're using it in the show, maybe because I know her music too well, and I know the
Yeah.
lore of her music too well. Did you find, like, that impacted it for you, or you were just appreciating the songs that were used?
I mean, I definitely was always, like, kind of perking up when there was a song by her and kinda got excited about that. I do feel like, certain instances, I think, like, lyrically are perfect with what they go with, like, when "The Way I Loved You" is used. And then one I think is that's not necessarily perfect but, like, musically is perfect is when "False God" is used. And so I think that I can either look at it in moments of, is it the music that's fitting the emotion here, or is it the lyrics that's fitting? And sometimes it's both, but I can definitely appreciate both sides of it. And yeah, it becomes sort of a different thing once it's in the texture of the show.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for me, Dress became like that. Like, I
Yeah.
now forever, if I hear Dress, I'm just gonna be thinking about Paris, and, like, as people online said, it's like a music video for
Mhm.
that. Yeah, Jessica and I have talked about False God being, like, a pretty intense song
Yep.
to be using, particularly when they're teenagers, like,
Yep.
lyrically intense for what's kind of an innocent moment, right? Like,
Mhm.
and that's not what Taylor's singing about.
Yeah, but I think the music feels like that yearning that you're
Yes.
talking about,
Yes.
and it just works so well, I feel like, in that
Yeah.
respect.
I went down a little, like, Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran rabbit hole over the weekend because, I don't know, Ed has this new, like, one shot out
Yeah,
on
saw
Netflix,
that.
which is pretty cool, and, I had never listened to The Joker and The Queen before, So I listened to it and then it's like, oh, there's a music video and it's the same actors as was in the Endgame music video. Endgame? No.
Everything has changed.
Everything has changed. Sorry, yes. Music video, but they were kids and I had never watched that music video. I'm not a big watcher of music videos, but go watch it. It's like watching Belly and Conrad.
Mm.
Like it fits so perfectly. I'm like, oh, they should have used the Joker and the Queen, like,
Yeah.
because it has this nostalgia to it, and then just visually. And I wonder if Jenny was influenced a little bit, like by some of that stuff. There's way
Mhm.
less interviews with her when the show first came out, and now there's a
Yeah.
lot more content. I'm looking forward to when we get to season 3. There's a whole podcast where they go through the songs that were used in every
Oh, fun.
episode and talk about why they picked
Mhm.
each individual song. So I know that for The Way I Loved You, she actually used it in her pitching sessions,
Mm.
and she would pitch and she would play the song. But even that's pretty intense. Like lyrically,
Yeah.
it's good, but is that like a happy relationship that she's
Right, I know, that's the thing with a lot of this stuff that, like, some of these like, when This Love plays with them, it's like, that to me is not about a love that's gonna, last a lifetime, that song. Specifically saying this love is bad.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, but I think, you take, the, like, general gist of, he feels safe, but you are, like, where I feel passionate and all of that, and
Right,
yeah.
right. Yeah, and I think, back to you when you became a Swiftie, like, I think it is tapping into that nostalgia around those early
Yeah.
albums as well that maybe Jenny herself has.
Mhm. Yeah, did she said at some point that when she was writing the first book, I think she was listening to Fearless the whole time,
Right.
so yeah.
So it makes sense that she would have those songs in her head when she was
Yep.
writing it. It's like, I wrote a book to Midnights and I wrote a
Mhm.
book to Tortured Poets and now I'm writing a book to Showgirl. So like, of course, references to those songs kind of like seep in
Yeah.
obvious and less obvious ways. Speaking of which, it's in Cross Your Heart, right? You have like a whole Taylor Swift.
Yep,
You
and
wanna
the
tell
book
us
is
about it a little bit?
dedicated to for anyone who relates to The Prophecy by Taylor Swift because the book is completely, like, the prophecy coded, it's, like, the main character is basically, like, in the prophecy space of, like, I thought I had it again, like, I thought this was gonna be the one that went the distance, and then it didn't, and now it's like, it feels like it's never gonna happen for me, and then the book just takes it to, like, kind of a really unhinged place of where your mind might go
Well, it is a
with that.
thriller after all.
Yeah, yeah. But then, like, my ultimate goal with the book was for it to kind of be a balm for people who are in that place, and the kind of the lessons that the character learns is, like, the lessons that I feel like people in that prophecy space need to get to.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting, like, that she wrote that song and then met Travis.
I know.
Like, it's just crazy. And I think she's kind of addressing it right on the new album where she's like, I swore my loyalty to me,
Yep,
myself, and I with that like July
yep,
4th post from the Independence girlies. Like, it's
yeah, yep. A lot of magic and manifesting going on.
totally, but also like right person, timing, I think, right
Mhm.
person, right time. Like, 'cause they knew so many people in common they could have met.
Yeah,
And yeah, I mean, for me, I've said from the beginning, I was like watching a real life rom com to
yeah,
me, and like, there weren't fake dating. It wasn't a contract, none of that. But I understand a little bit why sometimes people felt that way because it just seemed too good to be true.
yeah,
Like
it was so perfect.
it was, yeah, like, and the engagement and then the podcast and like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, I was convinced we were never going to know that they were married until
I
afterwards.
was too. I was like, "There's no way they're gonna tell us we don't deserve that information
No,
because
no,
everybody's crazy."
everyone is crazy. But
But I was
But
glad to
then I
get
saw
that
other people
information.
being like, what, the girl who wrote all these songs, like, of course she's excited that she's finally
Yep.
engaged,
Mhm.
like, she's been talking about getting engaged for a long time
Yep.
in song. So was This Love the favorite Taylor song they used in season 1 for you, or
So, by that, do you mean my favorite, like, use of a Taylor song, or do you mean my favorite Taylor Swift song that is used
oh,
in
interesting question. Well, let's do both.
Okay. So, actually, my answer might surprise you. For favorite use of a Taylor Swift song, especially because you already mentioned about how it's like a very cheesy moment, and I agree. But I really love the moment when Lover plays because it plays my favorite part of it, which is that like percussion. And there's just something so like romantic and just so beautiful about that, and then the way he comes in, and I know it's, like, overblown, but I just love it so much, and I know I saw that clip of you and Jessica talking, and that was everybody's least favorite use of a song, but I
Yeah.
was like, I just love that moment so much, um
It doesn't bother me anymore. It was just the first time I saw it, I was like, "Okay, like,
Yeah.
what?"
It was really on my rewatch this summer that I was just kinda like, "Oh my god," like, I loved it because it, like, it just the way it slowed everything down and like I said, I like that moment where we know, like, these 2 are gonna be the 2 that hopefully
Yeah,
get together in the end, so I really love that. But my favorite, like, Taylor Swift song that was used in season 1 would probably be I mean, I love False God, but I also love This Love, so it'd probably be a tie
okay.
between those 2.
It's interesting about Lover is that they skipped over the first verse, which is like, "We
Yeah.
can keep the Christmas lights up till January," which is so Belly and Conrad coded
Mhm.
now, right?
Mhm.
Like, as Christmas is such an important, um, theme
Yeah.
between them. So, it's like, I think people overblow the number of Easter eggs that Jenny planted, but it's an interesting one, and you know as a writer too, I think sometimes our subconscious is working on
Yeah.
things, and when you go back later, you're like, "Oh, I didn't mean to plant this clue, but I
Yeah.
did," you know? Some of it I think is that for her. Do you have a song you would use in season 1?
So if it was like any song that she's created in the history of time, even if it's out of time with the
Yes.
filming,
Yes.
I think I know it's pretty obvious, but I think that anytime after their almost kiss on the 4th of July, where there can be like a yearning moment, I think Ruin the Friendship would be perfect. And it's just kind of like their song.
I picked that too, yeah.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, like, that's, like, the obvious one to me, but I just feel like it would be so good, like, any part of it too would be really good, like, the vibes of the verses really fits them, I feel like, and then the chorus fits that, like, yearning and regret of not having done it,
Mhm.
and then the, like, outro sort of thing of my advice is, like, could be them
Yeah,
actually kissing.
yeah, yeah. No, I think it's a good fit, even though it's a
Mhm.
sad song.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've listened to the acoustic version.
I love the acoustic version. It's like,
Like,
oh
music doesn't make me cry. I actually almost started crying when I
yeah.
listened to the acoustic version the first time. I was like, "Gee."
Yeah. Yeah, just the way her voice, like, softens in certain places that it's not on the studio version.
Yeah,
Ugh, I was like, "Oh
it's
god."
beautiful. Yeah, yeah. What's your favorite song on the new album?
Oh, that's so hard. It might be I mean, I think it's probably Ruin the Friendship, actually, but also, like, really close behind that is Father Figure and Elizabeth Taylor. So, I don't know. And I love the Elizabeth Taylor, acoustic one that
Yeah,
she put out
the
too. That
cabaret
one
version or
yeah,
whatever it's
it's
called.
so cool,
Mhm.
and her vocals in that are so, so good.
Would suggest to anyone who hasn't done this yet is A, listen to all the acoustic versions, but just listen to the album with headphones on like a premium streaming service. So if you have Spotify or Apple and like just her vocals are incredible on this
Mhm.
album. And the production and all the vocal stems and stuff that's going on in the background is just beautiful,
Yeah.
really.
There sorry.
No, no, that's a yeah.
Yeah. There's this, person on TikTok, I'm not gonna remember her handle exactly, but it's something about, like, being a bookish Swiftie,
Oh yeah.
which
She's a
yeah,
huge The Summer I Turned Pretty
good.
Swiftie, I think it is.
I love watching her stuff because she'll go through, like, all the musical stuff because she's, like, a musician, I guess, or music theory person, and she'll, like, talk through all the little things that are happening in each song, and I'm like, I would not have heard that, and I'm still kind of like, "I don't hear that, but I trust you that it's there, and I wanna know more about that," because she just, like, explains it, in a really interesting way.
Yeah, there's
Uh,
another woman too who's just started making content who is a piano.
oh, I've seen that.
Yeah,
The
and
one
she's
yeah.
also talks about, like, the chord progressions
Mhm.
and, like, how they fit with Fate of Ophelia. She started
Yeah.
there, and so that Yeah, there's always a lot other stuff going on
Yeah, I
musically.
love that because I'm always so focused as a writer on the lyrics, and obviously I'll be like, "Oh, this sounds good," or whatever, but, I love seeing people dive into the music theory aspect the way that I dive into, like, slant rhyme and other poetic
Right.
devices in it. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think for me, I think there's lots of reasons why people were dumping on this album, but
Mhm.
I think, an interesting choice that she's made is because she's now very famous for her bridges. There
Mhm.
aren't that many bridges on this
Right.
album, right? And because she's doing pop songs, and if you look at 1989, there's not a lot of bridges on
Mhm.
1989 either, or a lot of like, super sophisticated lyrics, right? Like
Mhm.
the player's gonna play,
Yeah.
like very catchy, but it's not the writing from tortured poets or folklore
Mhm.
evermore or whatever, which is all fine to me. I don't care. But I do think a moment that just like musically and writing is really the bridge of eldest daughter is just
Mhm.
like the writing's fantastic, the music's amazing, and both the acoustic and regular versions of that song. And whether people are I think people are completely misreading the beginning of the song and like
Yeah.
she's as she said herself, she's using vernacular on purpose to like
Mhm.
make a point.
Yeah, I had a whole TikTok about
Whatever. There's
that.
no room for nuance on the
Yeah.
internet, unfortunately.
Nope.
So, you know, but yeah, I think for people who wanted something that sounds more like Evermore or folklore, listen to the
Mhm.
acoustic versions, and these
Yeah.
could be on those albums.
Right. Because, like, I had a post at some point about the second verse of The Fate of Ophelia. So, the eldest daughter of a nobleman, Ophelia lived in fantasy, but love was a cold bed of scorpions, the venom stole her sanity. And I said, if you didn't know this, like, put a folklore type music on that, and like people would be like, "Oh, that's so beautiful, that's so poetic, that's amazing." But because it's got like a poppy beat, there it's like somehow people suddenly can't see the writing.
I know.
And that's always weird to me because I'm like, I still hear it. Like I still hear the writer she's always been
Yeah,
in this album.
I agree. And I think my post was a little less sophisticated, but about that same thing. But because I was like, listened to the acoustic version of Fate of Ophelia, and I was like, these songs are directly from the forest.
Mhm.
I'm like, if that's what you want, like go back to the forest.
Yeah.
It's like she didn't stop. It's all intentional, whatever she's
Mhm.
doing. So you don't have to like it. Like, no worries. But to be like, "Well, where's the writer that wrote this?" I know she's right here in the room with us. She's
Yeah.
also the writer who wrote, you know,
22.
"Look What You Made Me Do." Like, like,
Yeah.
oh, it's the same person. She's just intentionally doing different things. And again,
Yeah.
I think if people listen to the interviews, I think it was when she was talking to the Apple podcast guy, and she's like, I was very intentionally like leaning into the poet aesthetic and making it very wordy, which of course people complained about
Yep.
that album. And then,
And now they
you
want
know,
that back.
yeah. I mean, you never please anyone. Whatever. The song's number one for 7 weeks, so
Yep.
there you go. What is your favorite episode of season one?
I don't know what number it is, but it's the volleyball tournament
Okay,
episode. I
episode
just
6.
Yeah, I just love when Belly and Conrad, like, are just gelling so completely, and that's a moment where I really saw, like, that's the guy that she fell in love with, and, like, this is why there's something from him, like, towards her too, that, like, he's been falling in love with her too, kinda
Yes.
over the years. So I love that episode.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have pointed I mean, I love that episode, I love that scene in particular, that whole series of scenes, but even in the morning when she gets up, he's there with like, "I got you the muffins,"
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like and then he's like, good he follows her out the kitchen and he's being
Mhm.
his little dorky self.
Yeah.
But I think it's really interesting that we have 0 flashbacks from the summer before.
Yeah.
So even all the little clips at the beginning, like, I think I've been able to date all of them. Like, we maybe have a photo from the summer before, but, like,
Mhm.
every flashback we have at least goes back probably to when she was 13 and he was
Yeah.
14, almost 15. And it just feels like something happened the summer before that we never hear about. And,
Mm.
like, an interesting narrative choice to give us like, the only mention of it is, he says he went to the dead ball with Nicole, and she was like, "Well, when did this happen?" And he's like, "Oh, after you went on college tours with Steven, you left." But,
Mm.
like, okay, what was going on
But
before?
yeah, where was Nicole that whole time? Like,
Right. Anyway, I think it's a great moment. What's your favorite moment or moments besides
w
volleyball?
with Belly and
Yeah, with Billy and
Conrad.
Conrad, obviously.
So The volleyball is a big one for me. I love when Belly's talking to Conrad while she's drunk and he's in the outdoor shower, and there's just,
Oh,
like,
sea
that
creature?
filter. Yeah, that filter is off of her, and then, of course, I also love their kiss on the beach and that whole scene. Those are kinda, like, obvious ones, but they're great.
They're great. I mean, the obvious ones are great because
Yeah.
they're great. Yeah. Do you have, like, favorite other moments with other characters?
Yeah, I really love the moments where, like, Nicole is being really kind to Belly, and because I loved that 'cause we learn later that she had this fear that there was something going on between Belly and Conrad, and I don't know if it's just a front and she's trying to be nice to, like, neutralize it, but I also think it's a different, like, narrative than the usual, like, girls pitted against each other, and I like that Belly likes Nicole, and so I like that little thread in season 1, and
Yeah,
then, of
that's
course,
interesting.
Nicole does that really shitty thing where she steals her clothes,
She does one
but
shitty thing, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, she does. Yeah,
but she's
but,
a
I mean, I
teenager.
think that comes out of the betrayal, right? She's like,
Yeah,
"I've been so nice to you all summer when I didn't have to be, and then
yeah.
here you lied to my face," you know?
Mhm.
I like when Nicole says to Belly, like, "You're playing with a lot of hearts, Belly,"
Yep, yep.
you know?
Because she
Because
thinks
I
she, like,
think
has no power and, like,
yeah,
she's never the one chosen and all that, but it's like,
not
you're
true.
doing a lot.
Yeah, and I think Conrad gets a lot of shit in season 1 and even, like, all the seasons, but, like, Belly's making some choices, you know?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, like, that one day, she like, the day after she almost kisses Conrad, she, like, is with Cam,
Yep.
is
Yeah.
actually considering staying with him, then breaks up with him, is,
Mhm.
like, wants to be with Conrad, and then Conrad's like, "Sorry, I guess I can't right now," like,
Yeah.
but I am into it. He's like, "I think about you. You know that I do, but I just can't." And then the next thing you know, she's kissing Jeremiah in the pool, like,
Yep.
whiplash.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And, like, I get it from a teenager perspective, she's just, like
Yeah.
she's just wanting to feel wanted and feels that rejection from Conrad and just goes straight to Jeremiah, but it's also, like, when you're watching it, especially as an adult, you're like, "Oh, Belly."
Oh, belly, belly, belly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and Jeremiah's manipulating her too, so
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have a favorite Easter egg from season 1?
I don't know if it's considered an Easter egg or if it falls into something else, but I really love the tiny, tiny moment where we see Jenny Han at the Deb ball. And I love that she is wearing red, which is seeming to signify and set up that whole like red Conrad and Belly thing. And kind of,
Right.
unless, I mean, I could be reading too much into it, and just, like, pointing to that she is also Team Conrad and that this is gonna be endgame.
Interesting, I never thought about it like that. But, like, yeah, she takes the glass of champagne too, right?
Yep,
Yeah, yeah,
yep,
yeah. And isn't she there also in the first episode? I think she's coming out of the little, like, gas station
yeah,
store
in season 2.
in season in season 2.
Oh, is that okay, no,
Is it
maybe
season
you're
1?
right. I thought
Can't
it was
remember.
season 2 when they're, like, right before that great moment with Conrad when he's like, "I thought hot chocolate was your
Oh,
specialty," or
yeah,
whatever.
Coco was your specialty?
Yeah, but it might actually be
Okay,
in
yeah,
that
I don't
first
remember
episode
what
too.
show it
Yeah, I
is.
can't remember where it was.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. So do you believe in color theory or
Like, I do think she's very being extremely intentional with a lot of things, and so the thing that gets me, though, is that, like, if the red and then she connects it to the song "Red" by Taylor Swift, there's another instance where it's like, okay, but that person in the Red song, like, that wasn't a great relationship, like, that's not and not even, like, thinking of, like, the true lore of who it's about or whatever, just, like, the way that the song is written,
right,
like, that's, like, she's not setting up "But Loving Him Was Red" as, like, his kind of, like, this all-consuming thing. So, that's always seemed a little weird to me that, like, they're set up as red, but if she is connecting it to the Taylor Swift of it all, then that I'm like, "Well, but isn't that, like, not the great thing?" But
yeah,
I mean, I see her making those connections and, like, all the red stuff when they have the Christmas episodes
yeah.
and when she's in Paris during Christmas and, like, having thoughts of Conrad, even if she's thinking she's not having thoughts of Conrad and all that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting too though, because Conrad wears a lot of blue, like, that's
Mhm.
his primary palette, and then I noticed that Jeremiah, when he goes to that party, her belly, like, ends up naked in the water or whatever, he puts on this
Mhm.
maroon T-shirt, which is Conrad's, like,
Mm.
we then see Conrad in that shirt several times in season 2 and then again in season 3.
Hmm.
So, like, that's weird. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I agree with you because, like, lyrically, that song and then even, in the Lover era, she's like, "I used to think love was gonna be
Right.
burning red, but it's golden." And he does see Belly in a golden light, like, we do
Yeah.
learn that later. But then where does that go
Yeah.
in the Taylor Swift verse? Because, like, we actually haven't she hasn't assigned a color. I guess she's a opalite for Travis.
Mhm.
But I think Taylor Swift might have synesthesia because, like,
Yeah.
just the way she uses color in her song,
Mhm.
including blue. I don't know. Yeah, but, then it's just like, am I reading too much into it?
Yeah.
It's hard to know.
Yeah, but yeah, and maybe it's that, like, part of the problem is that for so long, Belly does see him in kind of that red perspective, and
Right.
it's like she needs to get beyond that and to see, like, because that is kind of like a, like, burning bright but gonna burn out sort of thing,
Mhm.
and, like, something that's not sustainable, and I think that that's a lot of how she sees their relationship after, the first time they try it, and then, at the end, she finally gets to a place where she can be like, "No, okay, here we are."
Yeah,
But then
that's a good
she's
way
in
of
red
thinking about
pajamas
it.
again in the in the little outro clips of the Christmas in Paris stuff, so, I don't know. It's interesting to think about, but
Yeah. No, but I think that's the right way of thinking about it because I think that Belly like, there's a whole debate about whether she's an unreliable narrator or not, right? And, I think that she thinks he's such a fantasy for her that she has trouble
Mhm.
believing
Yeah.
the reality when they're together, even though he's showing her in a million different ways
Mm.
that, I mean, he says, "You're it for me, Belly,"
Yep.
like, after they kiss, a very intense thing for a 17-year-old boy to
Yeah.
say, right? Like, I'm like, "Whoa,
When
okay.
they've only kissed once.
Yeah, you've kissed once. You're it for me, Belly. I could never get over you. I'm not over you,
Mhm.
blah, blah, blah." Um Anyway, he's showing it to her, but, like, she just has, like, a lack of belief in that, and so
Yeah.
anything that feeds the narrative of, like, "No, this was it all in my head,"
Mhm.
is she's much quicker to believe that, and I
Yeah.
think, we do find out some of the things that were in her head, obviously, in that final episode in Paris. It's, like, a devastating scene.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good point about Red maybe. It's like she thought that's what it was. Like, yes, I just felt
Yeah.
too much for him, but now I'm marrying my best friend. I'm marrying my best friend. She keeps saying
Mhm.
over and over and over again in season 3, right? It's like, okay, but do you want to marry your best
Yeah.
friend? Like, is it Taylor your best friend? And she
Yeah.
does in the first episode of season 3 say it's her soulmate, but then she never
Mhm.
says that again. So yeah, I just think she's in turmoil, but like we have to give her a bit of grace. She's 16 years
Yeah.
old.
Yeah. Yeah. She's young the whole series, so all the, like, things where I'm like, "Oh, Belly," I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, I wasn't exactly making the best romantic
No,
decisions when I was that age."
100%. 100%. Um, Speaking of Belly, what do you
Mhm.
think her best moment in season 1 was?
I think her best moment is when she actually says to Conrad, "I don't want you to want me, I don't want you to need me, I want you to want me," because I think, like, that is then we find out in the final episode of the series, like, what she's been kind of fearing the whole time, that it is just that he needs her or feels that he's supposed to want her.
Right.
And so I like that in the last episode of the first season, she's, like, finally actually saying that out loud and,
Right.
like, and 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 being kinda clear and not just, like, 'cause, like, to be honest, if the guy I'd had a crush on forever was just, like, coming near me, about to kiss me, and was, like, acting like he just needed me, I'd be like, "Okay." But so I thought it was actually really strong for her to say, like, "That's not what I want. I want there to be more than that."
Yeah.
So I really like that moment for her.
Yeah. She's very brave, and
Mhm.
particularly in season 1, right? Like, she's
Yeah.
just like when she confronts him in the kitchen and in episode 2 after the drive-in where she's like, "You cared who I was with, you were." And
Mhm.
they do have that comfort with each other, I guess, because they've known each other their whole lives, but, phew, I was not outspoken like that when I was
Yeah,
16
I
years
know.
old.
But I do think, like, she loses that bravery when she gets that first big heartbreak with him,
Yeah,
and then it's, like, reverting to the quiet, like, not expressing her own needs and what
yeah.
she really has to say.
Well, and eventually becoming, like, I think this weird codependency with Jer
Yeah,
and kinda being his mom, right? She's, like,
yeah,
putting sunscreen on
and
him and,
his
like
really is that he just needs her, not necessarily wants her. I mean, I think he thinks he wants her, but
yeah, well, and Conrad says, "Jer is the one who needs you right now," you know? Yeah,
Mhm.
so, yeah. Conrad, silly man. What's Belly's worst moment in season 1?
I really don't like how angry she gets at Taylor about kissing Steven. Like, I think, yeah, that's gross and weird for your best friend to be kissing your brother, like from your own perspective. But like, I feel like it's so disproportionate, like, and like Taylor's sort of annoying to me in the first season. I think she has a lot of growth over the series, obviously, but it just felt like so immature to me that like it was such a big thing to Belly. It's like, okay, she didn't kiss Conrad. Like, she kissed your brother, and like he's allowed to do that. Well, I guess not really at the time because he was seeing Shayla. But yeah, I just didn't like that. And it seemed like, and that's something that kind of comes into play later, I think, with like, there's kind of this imbalance in her relationship with Taylor that like Taylor will often show up for her in these big moments. And like, is Belly doing the same for Taylor?
Right.
I don't really know. So yeah, I just never like that, how angry and upset she gets about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Taylor-Steven relationship is just on a parallel track to Belly and Conrad. Like when, Steven says to her at the beginning of season 3, like, just feels like things are never over. We keep coming back to each other. It's like, sounds familiar.
Yeah.
But I agree with you because to me, what that moment shows is that Belly had no idea that her
Mhm.
best friend had a massive crush on Steven
Right.
for years, but Steven knew,
Yeah.
right? When she goes to see Steven in that episode and she says, she really likes you. And Steven's like, yeah, I know.
Mhm.
So Steven knew
Yeah.
and Belly didn't, which is
Yeah. It's
like
like,
she's very
where
wrapped
have you
up in
been? Yeah.
her own stuff. That being said, I mean, Taylor is like always pushing her, I think, in ways to fit Taylor's narrative.
Yeah, for sure.
Like what she also sees Jeremiah as a safe option for Belly, which is like how she keeps choosing the safe option, the one that
Yep.
like you're not actually in love with, and like when they're in the pool at the bachelorette party, and not Nicole, sorry, who's the
Uh,
university friend?
uh, Annika?
Annika, thank you, sorry. When Annika is like, like, "Maybe I should try and get with Conrad," and Belly's like,
Mhm.
"Fine, I don't care," and
Yeah.
Taylor's like, "Do not do
Yeah.
not do that," It's like, okay, your friend is still in love with that
Mhm.
guy, like, because why would you care? And,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen this, but the actor who plays Redbird gave an interview where he's like, "Oh, I'm team Conrad," like, I don't think Belly was ever in love with Jeremiah, like, he just, like, clocks it
Yeah.
immediately,
Mhm.
which I think is hilarious
Yeah.
because you're like, "Yeah, you're speaking facts,"
Yep. I'm team Redbird for Jeremiah, I think, just because I love
Totally,
Redbird.
I love Redbird. I like Redbird. I want Redbird back. I want Agnes back. Agnes better be
Mhm.
in the movie or I'm gonna be upset.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, she was good.
I want Belly being jealous of Agnes and not in a romantic way, though Agnes is clearly still completely in love with
Yeah.
Conrad, like, obviously, but I want her jealous of, like, their friendship
Yeah.
and, like, Agnes played a really big role in Conrad's life, like, all through university and med school, and, like,
Yeah.
they have
Those
their
years
own
that she doesn't
thing.
have with him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I wanna see her being, like, a little surprised
Mhm.
by that and, like and discomfited by that
Yeah.
because she needs that a little bit.
Yep.
She does. Okay, Conrad's best moment.
I think that Conrad's best moment, like, is a set of moments, like, basically any time that he's taking care of Susanna before she's officially said that
Yeah.
she's sick, like, he knows, but, like, the time when he finds her on the stairs and he helps her up the stairs, or when he finds her sleeping on the couch and he puts a blanket on her, like, I think those are those moments where we're seeing the real Conrad too, and the one that Belly would have fallen in love with, so I really love that.
I agree. Yeah, that's what comes to mind for me too. I also like
Mhm.
his moments with Cleveland.
Yeah, I do too.
I think that stuff's really well done. Uh,
Yeah, and that's a window for us too to see how he's actually feeling about Belly since he's not gonna tell her most of the time, and
mhm.
he's acting like he doesn't care and all that, so yeah.
Yeah. His worst moment?
For me, his worst moment is 100% when he tells Nicole that his mom made him ask Belly to the dead ball. I just think it's so unnecessary.
Mhm.
Like, you could have said he could have said anything that would have been a little more honest, at least. Like, yeah, my mom asked me to ask her, and like, I think it's a good idea. So I already know the dances, and I'm gonna like something that's not the way he framed it, which was like it was totally her idea, and making it seem like he didn't really want to do it.
Yeah.
I just hated that, and I was like, Why
Yeah.
why are you doing this? Like, we know at this point that you're into Belly, like, why are you playing with her that way?
Yeah, why
With
are you still
Nicole?
keeping Nicole around?
Yeah.
I think his treatment of Nicole, and I'm glad that she called him out on it, and then I
Yeah,
was
me
also
too.
glad that Conrad didn't fight her. He was like, "You're right.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was a jerk to you." I think, yeah, Nicole is like his excuse not to be with Belly,
yeah,
because he doesn't really care about Nicole. So
yeah.
Cece. Jeremiah, does Jeremiah have any good moments in season?
So, it's funny because my idea of his best and worst moments are both moments where I feel like we see the real him and not, like, the swaggery guy that he puts forth. And so, like, for me, this is gonna sound, like, mean, but I feel like his best moment is when he is, like, crying, looking at the phone of his mom with the emails. Like, he
Mhm.
stole her phone, that's not great. But we're seeing this, like, I felt like I was seeing him, like, actually him for one of the first times in the
Right.
show where we're seeing him devastated over that.
Right.
So, like, it's not best moment, like, he's doing a great thing, but it's just, like, best moment in terms of, like, I had genuine sympathy for him in that
Yeah.
moment, and it was
Yeah.
really heartbreaking. And then
Yeah.
on the flip side, but in a similar vein, I feel like his worst moment, well, if I wanna just give, like, his cringiest moment, it's when he puts on that song during the dead ball practice and just starts dancing, and, like, nobody
Oh
asked you to
god,
do
it's
that.
so cringy.
And he thinks he's looking so good. But I think, like, his true worst moment is another where we see, like, the real Jeremiah, which is when he puts off the firework
Mhm.
while he sees that they're about to kiss, and I think, like, I get it, and it's very, like, teenagery of him, but it is, like, that's not the guy, like, the cool guy we've been seeing all the season, which made me feel like that guy wasn't real. That's just something you're kinda putting on to, like,
Yeah.
fit with these other people or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, I agree, and I think Jeremiah's, like, best moments are with his mom also, like,
Mhm.
there's other moments, like, when his mom's painting him and just the way
Yeah.
he interacts with her, he's very sweet with his mother,
Yeah, for
and I have,
sure.
like, nothing to fault him for the way he is with her. I think, that moment with the firework, he looks, like, deranged, but
He does.
I think it's all of that has to do with Conrad. I don't even think it has
Mhm.
anything to do with
Yeah.
Belly. He's mad at Conrad because he thinks that Conrad is the reason his dad left. And he doesn't like the way Conrad's treating the dad, and he doesn't have all the information still at the end of the
Yeah.
show. Does not have
Mhm.
that information. But I think and then he's so mad about that that when he sees Conrad being happy the next day and he
Yep.
knows why, then he sets out to destroy his happiness, which is just
Right.
like cruel. And as Conrad calls him out in the end of season 3, like, just treating Belly like an object to be won, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
Somebody today commented, like, that I hate Jeremiah too much. I'm too harsh on Jeremiah. And I'm like, "No, I don't hate him enough." No, but, like, I just think he is, like, he's very self-centered,
Yeah.
and everything is very much about him. But I also think that he's been the victim of some terrible parenting from both Susanna and his dad, obviously. And so he feels
Yeah.
inferior to Conrad, but he looks up to Conrad. And then yeah, he just like, he doesn't, I think as Denise calls him out, she's like, "You're so obsessed with your brother."
Mhm.
Right? It's like everyone's obsessed with Conrad. Like everyone is in their own way, which I get because he's a very appealing person. But like, who are you, Jeremiah? Like,
Mhm.
what do you want? Has nothing to do with your brother and how, because Conrad has nothing. The only time you ever hear him say anything negative about Jeremiah in the whole show is after he's found out that Jeremiah cheated on Belly.
Yeah.
And even then, it's just like, oh, he doesn't hold his liquor well. That's like the
Yeah.
worst thing that Conrad ever says about Jeremiah in the entire show, even though Jeremiah's a jerk to him. And like,
Yeah.
so, Conrad's not in competition with you. He's not trying to make you feel bad. He's like, ignore mom and dad. Like, they're just being stupid.
Mhm.
So, anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah. And I don't think he's grown up. Like, I think the
No.
actor has talked about how he thinks, like, oh, Jeremiah's really grown up and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, has he though?
No,
Has he
and I think
apologized?
that his relationship with Belly is what's kind of keeping him from growing up because
Yeah.
she does, like, enable a lot of that in him. And yeah, I think that, like, that moment with the firework, like, if there would have been another way to play that, which would be, like, him, like, like, kind of laughing and, like, "Oh, this is gonna be funny," kinda thing,
Right.
but it's the darkness on his face in that moment, like you said, he looks deranged, it's like, there is some darkness here
Yeah. He's very angry
under
in that
this boy,
moment.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So we're starting a new segment, if I can convince Jessica, but she's not here today. So here we go. Which is like, if you had one question that you could ask Jenny Han,
Mm.
what would it be?
I would ask her if I can move into the house that they shot.
It's a
I
great
think
house.
think I would ask her, because she did tease that thing, like, even from season 1 about, like, "Don't think you know how this is gonna end just because you know how the books are gonna end." I
Right.
am genuinely curious if when it started as a TV show, if she was thinking she might change the ending of the books, but then she saw how the audience responded to these different characters and these different pairings, and if she was like, "Okay, I can't." And she obviously did change the ending in that she made it more extended, and which
Right.
thank God, because in the books it's like 2
Oh,
pages.
I know. That would have sucked.
But yeah, I am curious about that. If when she went into the show, she was like, I'm gonna
Right.
like maybe Belly will choose Belly kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh god, if she had chosen Belly. Ugh.
I know.
Um, I
I'd be
think
like,
I think we
okay.
know the answer to your question because they filmed that BT behind the scenes of her and Conrad dancing in their
Hmm.
dead ball outfits, and I keep seeing online in, like, the Twitter fan space that I'm in for that she did it because they didn't know if they were getting more than 1 season, and
Oh.
she wanted the fans of the books to have their Belly Conrad endgame
Oh wow.
footage, because it looks like it's their wedding, right? He's, like,
Yeah.
got his jacket off, and they're dancing and taking pictures of one another and stuff, so, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've seen Chris Briney's answer to that question, he's like, "Well, I've read the books," and, like yeah, he's like, "Well, I've read the books, and I just always assumed it was gonna be like that." He's like, "I mean, I guess she coulda changed it, but it never really occurred to me, and that I was playing to that the whole time." So,
Yeah.
like, I read all 3 books. That was how I approached the character,
Mhm.
knowing that this is where he was gonna end up eventually, and, like, this was the journey he had to go on. And then Gavin never read the books
God.
and was completely surprised by the ending, shocked.
Oh my God. Did he really think that she was gonna choose Jeremiah?
Well, and I find it weird because there's still people who want them back
I
together in the
know, I
movie,
know,
and I'm like, "You want her to go back to him after
I know.
choosing his brother again?"
And after all the, like, ick moments that we saw with him in season 3 and just their relationship in the ways that it
Yeah.
didn't really fit
Ew.
for either of them.
No,
Yeah.
and, like,
Like,
it's not good for
Jeremiah
him
needs to
either,
go
but why
off
would
and
you want
have
Jeremiah to be with Belly?
right.
Like, I mean, he broke up the wedding, but, like, I don't think she would've gone through with it either, so, like,
Yeah.
she just would never have made it down the aisle.
Yeah.
Impossible. And then she does get back with his brother.
Hmm.
So maybe she delays it a little bit, but the minute
Yeah.
she sees him again, they're back together, right? Which is exactly what Jeremiah thinks after the
Yeah.
wedding breaks up. He's like, "Oh, they're on a plane to California together," because these 2 cannot be even think about one another. She thinks back to Christmas 2.0 in the hospital. She goes and gets back
Mhm.
together with Jeremiah and gets engaged 5 seconds
Yeah.
later. That's the power that these 2 have over each other, and he's
Yeah.
aware of that. Like, I think my core problem with Jeremiah, the character, not the actor, is that he is fully aware the whole time about how Belly feels about Conrad and how Conrad feels about Belly. He is
Yeah.
not in denial about any of that. Even in his point of view episode in season 2, they've inserted a scene where he looks back at their first interaction, which doesn't happen. In Belly's point of view, we don't see that.
Yeah.
And he's clocking his brother and Belly the whole time. He saw them almost kiss. He always know, and he inserted himself in there. He
Mhm.
definitely knew that Belly was in love with his brother from time immemorial. So, and then we find out that, oh, I never brought up Christmas because I knew things would be over. Just the fact that you
Yeah.
spent the day with him was enough to send me into a spiral and go off and cheat
Yeah.
and break up our relationship. So I just think he's like, did he really love Belly?
I think he thinks he did, but
Yeah.
I don't think he did.
I don't know.
I think a lot of it was about winning against his brother, and about, like, what he needed after his mom died. But also, for the people who are like, "I hope that Jeremiah and Belly get back together in the movie," like, I'm just like, narratively, that makes no sense. Like,
Yeah.
you could not trust any of these characters, like, if that happened. That first she was with she was sort of with almost with Jeremiah, then she really dates Conrad, then they break up and she's with Jeremiah for a long time, then they break up and she, like, finds herself or whatever, and then she's with Conrad, and then she just goes back. Like, no, we can't keep going between these 2
I agree.
brothers forever.
No, no. And, in the books, she's never with Jeremiah
Right.
before Conrad, right? He
Yeah.
tells her he likes her.
Yeah.
She says, like, "No, thank you," and then is with Conrad. And so there's only, like there's not this as
Yeah.
much flipping as there was in the show. But, yeah, it makes no narrative sense. Plus, Jenny has said that the movie will be about a happy and Belly and Conrad, and a moment in Belly's life that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I am really there was a part of me that was I mean, I was really excited when I saw that there was gonna be a movie, but there was a part of me that was scared because I was like, "Okay, well, a movie means more story, and in order to have story, there has to be conflict."
Yes.
And I'm like, "But I don't want there to be
I know.
conflict between Belly and Conrad, like, we got to this place finally." So
Yeah.
I'm hoping the conflict is, like, external to that or just something they have to weather as a couple, like, maybe
Yeah.
she gets
I think the
unexpectedly
conflict is gonna
pregnant or
be more
something.
around, like, getting everyone I think visually the clues are there, so the end of the show, we see everybody but Belly and Conrad at the summer house around the table, and
Yeah.
then further into the future, we see Belly and Conrad there alone. So to me, I think the tension and part of it is gonna be getting everyone back,
Yep.
2 cousins together with everything that that means. I think there might be some tension around him proposing to her
Mhm.
because it all went so badly last time, like to me, he's Jim Halpert. Like, he already bought a ring. It's not gonna be
Yeah.
Susanna's ring. He went and bought a ring, like, in Paris.
Yeah.
Like, but what is the right moment? What is the right moment for Belly? I think there could be some tension around that, and I think it could be Belly being like, "Why hasn't he proposed to me? Like, I don't understand." Like, I
Yeah.
think that could be part of the tension. I think it could be also, like, where are they gonna live for their careers? Like, there's ways of doing it with keeping them sort of happy, and it can't be planning a wedding. We've seen a whole season of that,
Right.
right? So,
Yeah.
like, to me, if I was writing this, like, the wedding will be the end, or the wedding starts the thing, and then it's something after that. But I
Yeah.
don't think it's gonna be a lead up to a wedding. I just
Yeah.
doesn't s feels like we've seen that story, so I don't know, we'll see. Look,
Yeah.
gave us 3 amazing seasons of television show. I think there was one episode in season 3 that everyone was, like, upset about, episode
Mhm.
9, but we needed to catch our breath
Mhm.
after, what was going on there, and, like, we already kinda got our rom-com with them in
Yep.
Paris, like, it was so beautifully done. Just
Yeah.
the acting, the music, the filming of it, like, it's
Mhm.
just beautiful. So, like, let's trust Jenny
Yeah.
Han's gonna suddenly make something that sucks.
No, yeah. I am really hoping that like, my dream for it is that it's a Christmas movie and that that's what that was setting up with
Right.
the clips at the end, because I just think that would feel so cozy and amazing, and they've
Yeah.
had these, like, Christmas threads in
Yeah.
it, and, like, obviously, that's a time when family would be coming together and clashing, and
Yeah. I
so
don't
that's my
think so.
hope.
I think it's gonna be around July 4th. I think there's a
Oh,
bunch of clues. I've done a couple of videos about this, but I think there's a bunch of clues in the show. So in the last shot of the show, when they pull back, the house next door has, like, July 4th bunting on it.
okay.
And then the letter for that she wrote to us was like, "Maybe
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
gather in one more summer in
Oh, yep.
cousins."
True.
I think the sand that he brought her, that he
Mhm.
collected on July 4th is
Mhm.
also a clue, and there's some others. So and I think while Christmas is super important to them, it's a summer show. So I think we might see some more of Christmas. Like, I think there's gonna be a few extra scenes they shot in Paris. Like, I don't know if you saw this, but the actors were like, "Oh, yeah, like, she just went back to Paris when they got to Belgium, like, just got on the other train and went" I'm like, "Hell no. 0 chance." Connor was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, we'll see
Yeah.
you." Actors sometimes have no imagination.
I know.
So, yeah, that I think it's gonna be principally set in summer, in cousins, around 4th of July. Because you remember that episode in season 2, Cam asks, "Where do you wanna be in 10 years?"
Mm.
And Conrad says, "Here, 4th of July, digging for clams, surfing with
Mm.
Jer." We're 5 years past that moment now, and
Yeah.
then I think the movie, like, in the time is gonna be like that scene we saw them, just the way they're dressed. I
Yeah,
think
that's
it's,
not
like,
a car you
5
get
years in
when
the
you're
future. So,
that age.
she said she wanted them to be older
Yeah.
also, and just, like, Conrad's wearing loafers, like,
Yep, the car he's
the
driving,
car they're
it's like
driving,
yeah.
all of that. Yeah, so I just think to me the clues are, like, it's gonna be 10 years from that moment, they're gonna be in their
Mhm,
late 20s, he's gonna have finished his residency, she's gonna have finished school, and
mhm.
it's gonna be around summer, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I hope there are at least Christmas flashbacks because I love the Christmas wintry moments that we
Yeah,
get, in addition to the summer, even though, like, I was hooked by the summer of it all, but
I
I do
agree.
love those
Yeah.
moments.
No, they do all the Christmas stuff so well. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Well, that is our episode for this week. Megan, thank you so much for being here and
Thank you so
discussing
much
all
for
things
having me.
Taylor Swift and the Summer I Turned Pretty. Please
Yeah,
check out Megan's thrillers. They are really great
thank you.
reads, and they do have Taylor Swift references too if you're looking for
Yes.
that in your read. And why wouldn't you be? And next week we dive into season 2, guys. Like deep breaths. So the first episode of season 2 is a good one.
Mhm.
If you're rooting for Rebellion Conrad, which I am, obviously.
Mhm.
Okay, so we'll see you all next week. Thanks so much.
Yay.